coming. It's good to see many faces here. I'm Maris. I work with Scandiweb, primarily work with business development, growth, and key account management teams. Today, though, I think we're trying to focus the conversation away from the financial growth and talk more about how do we get there. So Alex, who's with OM Digital, or X known as Olympus, and we also have Kelly here representing a more of a, well, I nearly said boutique, but Kelly, maybe let's start with you. Introduce your,
Sure.
What is that you do?
So I work for Kravit Family of Brands. We are an interior furnishings company selling to interior designers, so we're B2B. I think what you were trying to say is we're a little bit more on the editorial side. So we have a luxury customer, their end customer is also on the high end. So that attention really has to connect from our part of the business to that end consumer, really.
Yeah, and Alex, you're coming from a very different background. I mean, I understand that you joined the OM Digital fairly recently. However, you're still getting on with the brand and understanding kind of what's going on.
New to the role. I started with the company in July. I have a very long history using the Magento platform. For many years, I've been a Magento enthusiast, and I've spoken at events before, and I love coming to meet and connect with people, like-minded individuals, very approachable. OM Digital, formerly Olympus Cameras. OM System is the brand of cameras. It's also a high-end line that's a major focus on wildlife, outdoor, getting up, going outside, and having some authentic experiences with nature. It's been great so far.
Alex, I actually did take with me, I completely forgot to take it up on a stage. I did take with me, I told you I have my old Olympus Trip 35 film camera. I took it here, took it here to New York from home. I'm sorry, Kelly, I didn't rip my wallpapers off the wall to prove that I love the brand, but
yeah.
But yeah, we can all go and take a picture a little bit later. Let's kick this conversation off, perhaps with sort of some event or something when attention has sort of made some change or significant change, either to you personally or to the brand. I don't know, Kelly, do you have something?
Yeah, so we're a century-old company. We are very well known in the market, so we have a certain amount of attention, but we sell fabric, wall covering, furniture, carpet. Furniture and carpet are much more scalable, increase that lifetime value, but we're really well known for fabric. We're really reliable, and our customers, we have most of the customers in our very niche industry, but we want to change the perception. So we have attention for being this well-known brand, but in one part of our market. So we just recently launched a campaign kind of reinvigorating our main brand to shake up that perception, and used the attention that we know we have on the website to garner, I think, over 3.5 times more engagement by creating more content that kind of speaks to what we want the customer to know us for. So we were able to, study the customer, know that they love us for the basics and the kind of simple products that we offer, and then create a campaign that features the attention-seeking items. And we created the campaign on the site to really follow the customer's journey. So putting that information where we want them, where we know they'll be, in order to, really drive that lifetime value up, that perception up, and, increase our kind of, the confidence that the customer has in us that we're going to deliver on luxury and, product and all of those kind of trust elements.
Alex, on both from the OM Digital and for yourself, I understand that you kind of joined recently and you might not have a full perspective of the brand, but you have joined the role and it's got its purpose, and we'll be going to the e-commerce. You're managing the channels of digital and e-commerce at OM. So what is attention for you, and what do you think is the attention that needs to be drawn towards the camera brands, a global camera brand?
Yep, so our brand has its enthusiasts that absolutely love it. Right? We have a new product, they're going to come out and buy it. They love us, they support us. The sentiment about our product line is very positive online. But this is a huge market where we have a much smaller percentage of market share compared to some of our larger competitors. So attention as currency is an important task for us. We launched a new lens recently, the 50 to 200 millimeter lens. It's been really acclaimed and positively embraced by our brand enthusiasts and also the larger photography market. We got the Editor's Choice Award from Petapixel, which is a major photography website, as well as PC Mag. So, it's not just our brand loyalists that are coming to us. Our job is to, in this world where our attention is constantly inundated, and so many things are vying for our attention. I don't know about you, I haven't had a moment to think this morning as soon as I got here. And you open your phone and it's just scrolling after scrolling, and brands vying for just a sliver of your attention to create that memorable experience with you. We have that with the people that know and love us, and our job is to educate the rest of the world on the great products that we have. We have a good problem in the sense that our products people love. We just want to get more attention and more eyes on us.
You did touch upon a topic that I believe is important, and this conversation could not have happened without touching the topic of the social media, the abundance of the attention seekers or the lack of attention itself that is left over in the market. Hands up if there is anyone in this room who hasn't caught themselves scrolling in an evening on sofa.
Has it?
All right, a couple. So where I'm going with this, the bid for consumer attention is becoming higher and higher. So for any brand to catch a little piece of that attention and really draw the customer in, and both of you talked about the consumers, the customers that love the brand, or especially you have designers and a lot of businesses that are buying, you have photographers and else. Yet every capitalist company always wants to expand and grow. How do you go and bid for that attention in the context of the digital? Like, how do you bid for that attention? How do you draw that attention to your website? How do you draw it to the conversion? How do you get it? Is there a formula?
I think the way that we approach it is understanding where the customer's attention might be in the larger scape. So, if they're going to be at a conference, we're going to make sure we're there and we're presented in the right way. If they're, when they're shopping, for us, we want to be there. We want to have our sales staff ready to help them. We want to be just around, but online specifically, our customer is very transactional. So I don't want to push them into a different experience. I want to kind of flow with them. So if I know they spend minimal time on the homepage, that's high important real estate for claiming their attention and just using it there, rather than trying to, yell at them on social or something like that. Social we use as kind of, a pleasant place for us to exist, and they just remember us and they get a good little piece of content. We're not, screaming promotional stories over there, but on e-com we can, guide their product discovery process, which is pretty rigid for us because they usually do some discovery offline, but just kind of coach them into, you could also discover this. Personalization is going to be how we start to follow their attention organically versus, you don't want to scream too many channels because, as you said, everybody's consuming, whether you're working or not. Like if you're a professional designer, you're also consuming probably similar content on your personal time when you're just scrolling on Instagram or shopping and things like that. So acknowledging that they're going to be consumed elsewhere, and then just focusing on when they're interacting with you, or those organic opportunities for a new customer, offline kind of behavior.
You did mention one interesting piece there where you said if they spend only so much on our homepage, we want to make sure we grab their attention. What I hear personally a lot in the industry is how to make them spend more time on a homepage, or how to make them spend more time on a certain thing. But you mentioned a slightly different approach. Is it something that you're working on? Like, hey,
yes.
how do you catch the attention as much as we as much from the time frame that we have?
Yeah. So our customers usually do some discovery offline. So they spend a lot of time in search with a direct SKU or a broader category, or they go right into our PLPs and they're discovering. So we, the homepage is great. It's supposed to, we're kind of using it as a trophy case almost of like, okay, just make sure that this is the image that we want well represented. So we're developing our like marketing photography to be that high end of what we want to look like. We want people to, perceive us from that image. But then the promotional pieces I'm trying to layer into, okay, I know they're going to be in the mega menu. So what am I putting there? I know that they're going to click on botanicals. They click on it every single day. When I can promote, a new floral collection within that PLP and, putting that content within there. So, we've tried for years to force them into these branded experiences and discover this brand page, but they're not doing that. So it's more responsible for our showrooms or our social channels to do that brand messaging, and for me to do the promotional branded the content looks branded, and I just kind of plug it as they go. I kind of am orchestrating it as the old school brick and mortar, you're in the checkout line and you're grabbing as you go, those impulse purchases, taking that POV of, they're gonna check out in the store, so put something there that's relevant to them, and I think personalization will really layer on top of that.
One aspect, and Alex, you said, especially for the OM Digital, the customers are very loyal. So once you grab that attention, once you grab that customer's piece of their attention, how do you build that loyalty? Like, how do you? I understand that it is perhaps deeper into the brand psychology and else, but how do you make sure that they learn to love the brand?
Well, I think ultimately we have a unique issue where, there's cameras everywhere, right? Like, you could go out to dinner and take a picture of a steak with your cell phone and put it on Instagram, just like 50 million other people that are doing it at the exact same time, right? But like, if you hold, feel, explore the different color profiles, explore the different focuses and all the different tools that come with a camera such as ours, you're building an experience. How many times have you taken a picture of your food and instantly forgotten about it or never checked it again, right? But part of your memory that you're checking when you're taking a picture with our cameras is to hold it and play with it and get under the hood. A lot of the reasons why I've been in Magento for so long, you know what I mean? Like, to get under the hood and tinker and explore and make something really unique that stands out from just this mindless scrolling on your couch. I don't know about you, but I'll scroll on my couch and then I'll stop and I'll be like, I need to stop because these past 5 minutes of my life I'll never get back. And I don't know what was accomplished in these last 5 minutes, and I also don't even remember it. So we need to educate our customers, our brand loyalists, and new customers, and that's through brand ambassadors giving online speeches about what sorts of tips and tricks that they use as professionals in the industry. All the different features that our cameras have that your cell phone doesn't, and all the reasons why you're going to want to pick up something lightweight with interchangeable lightweight lenses, and go out there and explore in the real world. Get offline and detach and create a memory that's going to stick with you. And hopefully our cameras help you, and then you're tied back to that emotion and memory by remembering, the device that you interacted with to achieve that.
Is there a way you can measure?
Time spent on site. You mean what do you mean?
So from grabbing the attention into kind of transferring them into kind of the loyalists and else, is there a way to measure how successful the transition from the kind of initial touch point or initial attention grabbing? I mean, I understand that online it's time spent on site, etc. But there's also something that Kelly mentioned about the personalization and building the experiences. So something about the customer. You kind of know where the attention goes as well, right?
Yeah, but I think I'm being very specific to the e-com platform, but there is a lot of intangibles that are offline, mm-hmm. Are you getting new customers, or are the same customers coming back and coming back? You can measure that online because obviously, return customer, another checkout, but a lot of what you're saying, the ambassadors and that offline stuff is very hard to translate.
It's tough.
Directly. It's more of a high tide lifts all boats kind of a thing.
We have two jobs. We have brand awareness and we have, B2C sales.
Yep.
Right? So for us, we have to make sure that we, do both of those right to not just make the sale, right? But to also create that memory and create something really memorable, as attention, as something vying for just a little sliver of your attention in your day. Hopefully a larger sliver than that, hopefully something that you use and cherish and really get to love.
This is a question, and it's probably going to be a little bit of out of blue. We did not have it on our agenda, but if you had to go and make a suggestion to another merchant, where would you place the bid of your only dollars to grab attention, and where would you place a bid of your only dollars if you wanted to retain their attention?
Acquire their attention out of the sales channels. So it would be,
Digital.
Yeah, it'd be outside of that. I think that customers are becoming very used to us yelling at them on digital. They know where we're going to get them. They know the personalized ads. Again, it's happening in professional and personal spaces. So I think, that kind of transition back to organic, for us, it would be like designer-based conferences where they're peer-to-peer sharing and, us just showing up as that kind of consistent. So like peer-to-peer photographers, people like that, like maybe you show up in events and places like that, like kind of an old school approach, because I think that the saturation is like coming to a big head. And then I think that put your money for the, purchases and the actual where are we going to make the money. Photography, like product, make sure your product looks good, make sure your product, is well represented, how you want to come to market. Like we've had a lot of, lifestyle photography iterations over the last years, and we're finally realizing, okay, we don't need to make everything so different. We should just make it simpler, but you need a lot of content to keep that going, keep the brand looking consistent. But that awareness, I think, is off digital, or that's the future, I think, again. It was once there.
It's both. It's a mixture of both. Look, it's not going away. But I think for us, we have photography, right? We have, ultimately our end user creates a beautiful picture that they want to share, right? So we engage with them on our website by, enabling users to, submit their photography and, put their tags on for their social media handles and tie it back, give them some credit where credit's due for capturing an image that maybe someone else is inspired by, right? So do we spend time, on the digital versions of in-person events, such as Reddit, where it's not necessarily our brand, but members of the ecosystem? Yes. Do we kind of educate by just showing what we have in a passionate way through online channels like partnering with content creators for, detailed YouTube or, YouTube walkthroughs? Yes. And it's all super important because what you can't do is just what everyone does so easily, which is just create some AI-generated slop that's just like, hey, I fell in love with this new camera.
Yeah.
Link in the bio.
Yep.
Like, how many times do you get trapped into that now and you're just like, man, like this is just such a useless use of my time.
It's the same as receiving an email from a Nigerian prince.
I'd prefer that. I'd be more entertained by that, and I'd remember that more. And I'd probably write back to that, to be honest.
I think what you're saying is similar for us, is almost making there be a little bit of competition within your customers. Like, oh, we use their image, like you're supporting your customer base, but kind of creating competition. We do a lot of collaborations with our customers, and it's, oh, they use that wallpaper like that, I'm inspired. But I think there's also, at least in our industry, there's a little bit of competition, oh, they were featured in this magazine, they were featured on, this social post of Kravitz. We want to start having those relationships build organically, like, get more involved with the brand. It's like more intimate experience.
And those are very positive back and forth situations, like
and they
where it happens
appear
organically.
organic, but they're very well orchestrated.
Yep. I just said organically while you said they appear organic, so.
I know.
I did resonate a lot with what you said about the images, and back in the day when I used to run my own e-commerce company that was mostly based on e-commerce, as a merchant, I was proclaiming similar thing, like the photography, like we don't really sell products online, we sell photography online. because, well, your cameras capture it, but
Yeah.
in the end, everybody needs it.
But you're buying the camera.
Because in the end, while you're browsing the image, like you're browsing an image, you're browsing product information, you're browsing, like, so it's also kind of a part of the attention capturing.
Yeah.
So the better the experience that we can provide online, the more chances are that the purchase is going to happen, and fingers crossed that the people are going to be happy with the product in the end as well. So
Yeah.
it delivers better expectation.
I think, yeah, matching the quality of your product to the quality of that shopping experience. Like, our quality is high. Our textiles are made in the most fancy of places. And, if it's just a transactional experience that doesn't correlate to, the pitch that the designer is pitching, oh yeah, you want to buy this $500 pillow? That sounds a little ridiculous. But if they believe in it, they'll push it, they'll sell it on our behalf. So we need to make sure that the experience that they're shopping matches, the output. The Amazon experience, we're used to it because we're there for speed and for efficiency. They don't need to update much for, because we're all going to be there. But if we're selling luxury or selling high end or anything niche, you have to match that.
I totally agree.
Fair point. Let's talk a little bit about the future and kind of the next things, what's coming up. I mean, we had the wave of the social media. This is already some years back. We all kind of used to it, that it is stealing our attention and consuming our energy. We had a very good talk from TikTok a little bit earlier, and of course a lot of brands are using that as a strategy. What's next?
I was going to say that strategy. I think the UGC, like using your customer base to organically, boost your brand. There's so many voices. There's not just your brand's digital channels, there's your customers' digital channels. So aligning yourself with customers who know how to also do that, like exactly what they were speaking about this morning is, these creators, and your customers can be creators, and so they're doing this every single day. So really tapping into many different talented people, more channels, more organic, conversation and just presence of your brand to keep that alive.
Yep. When our customers buy one of our cameras, it's not about just selling a camera and looking at a conversion of, okay, this conversion came from Google Shopping. Like they're buying into an ecosystem, and they're joining a community. Where we want to, keep them involved in the community by, keeping them up to date on interviews with, people in the hobby or professionals, and keeping them up to date on the many features our cameras have and how to kind of keep using them and keep exploring and keep getting enjoyment out of them. To maybe come in for one camera and one lens, and then maybe down the line learn that they're gravitating towards a different facet of photography. Maybe, like macro. And maybe they'll come in and pick up different lenses. And also, once we get that new customer, we want them to be a brand ambassador for us to, speak positively online or in person about the great experiences they had with our cameras and, why they are legitimately such a wonderful, fun, entertaining hobby or profession to allocate your time to, which is so valuable. That's like, the most important thing in this world, right? So if you're on your spare time enjoying this by going out into nature and taking pictures with your friends, that's a true lasting experience. And that's who we aim to, bring into the fold more and more.
Interesting. So reviewing our conversation and possibly going backwards, so the conclusion of this conversation is that rather than spending our budgets and our own attention on trying to catch fast fashion, fast attention from social media, far better to invest into the brands, into creating the community around the brands, better to spend time looking where your consumers are and attend to their needs where they are, rather than try and pull them your way.
Definitely.
And then while doing that, it's also about delivering the quality, relevant quality of an experience online, on the digital channels. So once you get their attention, once they come through your digital doors, they keep on getting the right experience.
Yeah.
So all about grabbing their experience, their attention is not grabbing their attention, but building a high quality, good engagement.
Yeah, I think so.
It's grabbing it in a positive way, you know. It's
And an
about-
authentic way too.
Exactly.
Like, I think that will resonate more because it's like, oh, you know that I'll be here. You know that I'll be, this is the right time, so that you can capitalize. That seems more authentic versus just yelling at people with so many messages.
Hey, link in the bio. Hey,
Yeah,
top 5
exactly.
cameras.
Right.
Excellent. Audience, we might have time for 1 or 2 questions if we have any. Go on. With that.
What's your take on having product or business content on platforms like YouTube rather than social media? Just organic traffic, searching something, found your content, getting them to your website. What's your take on that? Are you doing that currently? What do you think about that?
So we put we use Pinterest. It's very organic to an interior designer. They're scrolling, they're looking for general inspiration. So we use those channels. We do see some traffic coming from there a little bit more organically than like even social, a little more impactfully because that's when they're, it's part of their process. YouTube, we hold some brand, we serve all our videos through YouTube, so we're alive on YouTube, but don't really see as much attribution from that channel, but I do think that is something that can grow. So I think we're very like baby steps into that, but definitely see the potential in showing up on those channels authentically. So, providing inspiration and things like that.
Yeah, YouTube is huge for us in terms of brand awareness, and there's really in-depth reviews and hands-on, breakdowns of new products that either brand ambassadors do or loyalists do, and we see a ton of traffic from the website, and we really use YouTube as a major tool to, tell a much longer story than a quick reel on Instagram or something like that. So we're definitely heavily into it.
One last quick question.
Yeah, you kind of touched it in terms of like what's working, but on the opposite, what have you tried that doesn't work, or may have worked 5 years ago, doesn't work today? What kind of tactics?
Me personally, so I'm new to the company as of July, right?
Okay.
But I could definitely touch base on that as somebody that's sold and has worked in e-commerce since 2008, many times on Magento. I just think if you're dealing with a high-end, a more premium product, you kind of got to get away from just like the usual suspects of that link in the bio ad or this is what I learned. Like I find that really just not. I find it so played out that it's like beyond played out. So that's where I'm at with that. And also I'm also very hesitant. I personally don't see the value when I'm on a display site and I'm bombarded with just so many pictures of a product. I want to make sure it's targeted and if it's a retargeting, it's a targeted one and it has the right point of view. Because I personally, that bothers me when I go to a website and then I go to another site and I'm just inundated with just the same display ad that's repetitive and maybe not at times relevant.
All right, thank you very much, guys. Give a good round of applause for Kelly Collins, Alex Teller. Thank you.